Call to order the town meeting. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Frierson.
Here.
Trustee Holmes.
Here.
Trustee Fisher.
Here.
Trustee McDowell.
Here.
Chairman Neal.
And here. First thing on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Bremner, would you like to lead us this evening?
Please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Under agenda changes, there is one, thanks to Trustee Frierson. He did the math on the numbers on the agenda itself, and under general assistance fund total expenses, the calculation is wrong. It should be 31,435.43, and then under total bills, then it would be 149,890.95. So it just calculated $100 off, so we got that.
Can you repeat the numbers, please?
Sure. General assistance total fund expenses, instead of 535.41, it's 435.41, or 43. Sorry about that. Instead of 535.43. Got it. And then under total bills, instead of 149,990.95, it's 890.95.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Trustee Farson. And just as a note, moving forward, the way that the process works is we get the financials. Sandra, we look them over. Sandra sends them over to Cheryl. Cheryl does the agenda, sends it back over. She's going to send it directly to back to Sandra, and Sandra's just going to check the numbers because this is twice now that there was incorrect. So Chris actually sat and we worked out a procedure to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So thank you very much. Thank you for making that point. Thank you. Are there any other agenda changes? Do we make a motion to accept the agenda changes as proposed?
So moved.
Motion second. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Frierson. Aye. Trustee Holmes.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee McDowell.
Aye.
Chairman Neal.
Aye. Item 5, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on December 17th, 2019 at 6:15 p.m. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Just want to say I read through the minutes, and we had a lot of stuff last month, and Cheryl did a phenomenal job of capturing everything. I'm sure it helped you with being out to, be able to find out what happened. So
Running back the tape.
It was, right. And so, clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Frierson.
Aye.
Trustee Holmes.
Abstain.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee McDowell.
Aye.
Chairman Neal.
Aye. Item 6, citizens' comments. None? Okay. Anybody else? Hearing none. Item 7, authorized bills for payment. Trustee Fisher.
I had a conference with Chairman Neal this afternoon. We reviewed the financials for the period, and I asked that we approve payment on total bills of $149,890.95.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
I wasn't sure our miscellaneous income. What's the source for that?
Know the rule. So if you had sent me an email or a text like we would discussed, and I could ask my business manager what that was for the month, it would have been much easier. But hang on one second. So it's very possible that that's income from the magazine. I would assume that is income from the magazine that we've gotten.
And then our legal services, do those expenses come late in the year?
Legal services, they come whenever we need to hire a lawyer. We don't have a retainer. We just pay it as we need it.
Okay. Those expenses just seem down this year compared to the budget, so I was just curious.
Well, and so last year we went with a different law firm. And working with Scott Nemenek I believe, has saved us a lot of money. He's a straight shooter. He addresses things right away. And that's helped us a lot. I'm very grateful that the board supported that decision.
More cost effective.
Very
Yes.
cost effective. And very stress reducing effective and time effective, yeah.
And I think the last thing, again, apologize for not sending the email. The negative expenses for summer work program and birthday cards, like, they're small amounts. I was just wondering if
Yes.
they were negative, if those were returns or?
So some of them were returns and shift when they put it into the wrong fund at one point.
Right.
And just corrections as they come.
Thank you.
Anything else? No? Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Frierson.
Aye.
Trustee Holmes.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee McDowell.
Aye.
Chairman Neal.
Aye. Item 8, consider approval of the nepotism policy. You have before you the policy from last month that we discussed. Trustee Mike McDowell had shared some concern with the last paragraph where it had said, I will always consider the totality, to just change that to pull out the I's and the wills. So in the last paragraph, I just reworded it and added Larry Wickett's name onto the policy. And so I'll make a motion to put this policy into place moving forward. Is there a second?
I don't think you can make a motion.
Well, sure. Is there a motion? Or I can make a motion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. In Township, the supervisor is a voting member and is allowed to make a motion.
Okay. I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Now discussion. Jackie, I know you had some concerns that you had wanted to share, but you couldn't be here last month.
I did, and I don't think any of the verbiage that I submitted got into it, but that's, that's understood. I mean, it was vetted with the consultant, so I respect the professionalism for which it's presented.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I respect what Jackie had been concerned about was what she would prefer is having a policy where absolutely under no circumstances do we hire anybody that's related. And in working with Scott Nemenek, our attorney, and the HR director, and Larry can attest to this, especially in the assessor's division. There is a very specialized experience, and Larry, if you want to speak to that at all.
Well, it's one of those things that you just can't pull somebody off the street, and it takes months and months and maybe years to train the people to do the work in the assessor's office. And yes, I have 2 employees that are related to me, but one of the employees is also works in the assessor's office in Warren Township and has over 20 years of experience. The other employee that I have in my office that's related to me has worked at the Chief County Assessment Office, Eula Township, and Benton Township. And I feel that when I have part-time people, I just get the best person for the job. And a lot of these part-time jobs are weekends. All field work in this township is done on the weekends, and there's not too many field people that want to work on the weekends besides the people that I have. So that's my defense.
I guess I don't see it as something that really needs defense, but the policy should protect any conflict of interest, and I'm not sure if this does that. So I understand the points that were made about the specialization of the requirements there, but in terms of whoever's in the position of supervisor or assessor, this policy doesn't seem to support any additional validation or vetting, I guess, of those decisions in that process. At that point, it goes completely to the supervisor or the assessor. So if there was anything that was, an impropriety, this doesn't cover any mechanism to be able to override that. So I don't know how others feel, but that's my thought. I mean, on its face, I mean, it covers all of the relationships and things that are there, but I don't think it goes that extra step for the reason it was originally brought up.
I
So-
agree with that, because if you read sentence number 2, should relatives, parentheses, like family members of persons employed by Zion Township be hired, that's not absolute. That's opening a door for it to potentially still happen. So I would be voting no for this.
And so, in the situation like we have with the assessor's office, what would be your recommendation for having employees for getting the work done?
I mean, that's a good question, because if you say, well, I look for the best people,
Yeah, and I did. The best people that are available at the hours that I require them to work. There's not a lot of people that want to work Saturdays and Sundays. There's not a lot of people that want to work evenings, and that's what I need.
I can totally appreciate that. But it should not be where a person in authority to hire and fire hires any family-related member.
So in the situation where the original situation came up with the marketing position, I made it very clear at that meeting in August that if there was anybody that wanted to step in and apply for that position, I would love to have them come to Zion Township. I put it out on the street. I've shared it with everybody. So in the gap, if Larry couldn't hire Sarah or Holly, in the gap, if you believe that there shouldn't be any family members, but the best person for the position just happens to be somebody that's related, what do we do to provide the service in the meantime?
Good question. Are there answers on both
another
sides
thing,
of the fence?
the person that I have in Holly, she's, like I said, she's been in the field for 20 years. Where else am I going to find experience? Somebody that's been in the field for 20 years. Also, I'm paying her probably $10 to $12 an hour less than she's making in her regular position.
I mean, procedurally, where do you look?
So, if I may though, so again, this is not about trying to defend the decisions that have been made prior, right? So, you've
Correct.
gone out, you have staff that works for you, that's great, right?
And
However,
I understand that.
when
And
we're looking at the position, so when you step down or the next supervisor comes in or what have you, this policy doesn't provide any additional protection than for that same thing to happen, right? So it doesn't cover any formal protocol on how positions are to be posted. The offices themselves are very small, so in terms of this hierarchy of reporting relationship, it doesn't feel very credible.
I do agree with you guys. And like when the new assessor comes in, she'll have, or whomever has the position, I mean, they'll have plenty of time to hire somebody and train them. It's just that it's been in the last year or two, it's been such a crunch. And I feel that hiring part-time people is the best thing because I don't have to pay them benefits. And I thought it was a cost-saving thing.
It's a
And
huge
somebody that's
cost.
got experience. I think that's the biggest thing for me is I just can't hire somebody because I'm not going to take the time to train them and send them to school and get all the education that they need. The people I have are already educated,
Right.
already know the field, but in the future, I do think that's probably the way to do this is to post it and have somebody that's going to be either a full-time person or a full-time part-time person. So yes, I do agree with you guys.
I wonder if we could have a policy like Commissioner Holmes is suggesting, not hiring any relatives, but allow for exceptions with the approval of the township trustees. So if you did get into a situation where the absolute best candidate for the position is a relative, that would solely be the decision of the whoever is hiring, you or Larry, but that would have to go to the trustees. You would have to present your case to the trustees, and then the trustees could make an exception to a really strict policy.
I think in the interest of transparency in government, that's not a bad idea.
Well, another opportunity is because in the situations where we have positions to fill, that's like month to month out in the situation. And I'm not saying that it would ever even come up, but what if we were to do another policy about how we hire? what the procedure is for hiring, because we don't have like a set procedure for how we hire employees. And I think that would relieve it if we, set up the policy for, where we post it, how we put it out. Because like right now, my position, I don't actually do the hiring on my team. I have my team do the interviewing, and then they select, and then they recommend to me because I know too many people. And when we do hire, Sandra is technically overseas. She's in charge of time off, hours, all of those things, so that there can't be any messing with that. And Sandra is also over all of the timekeeping for the assessor's office. So it does put a layer between the assessor and the supervisor and the staff when it comes to that.
But it's not just the supervisor or the assessor. I mean, Sandra's relatives would have to fall under this policy too. I mean, I'd like to explore a stricter policy with an exception clause.
Okay. Well, I'm working with the attorney and the HR director. They said because we're in small government, and especially with the assessor's office with the positions, it's such a very small pool of people to be able to take those positions, that this was what the HR director and the attorney both recommended that we make for the policy. And then it's up to the team to be in integrity and keep everything above board, which I believe that we do.
Well, I guess I'm not just thinking of these instances. I'm thinking about going forward. The next supervisor, the next assessor, and have a policy in place that is a little stricter.
I know citizen comments are passed, but could you take one comment?
Sure. We can take two because you had one also.
I don't believe that someone should be hired because of who they know, but I don't think it's right to not let them, that's the word, exclude them because of who they know. If they're the best candidate, they're the best candidate. And if we can't have somebody policing that, I would think it's your commissioners who would look at that and say, hey, you explain to me why this person was hired, and if they think they need to be there. But I think that's just another form of prejudice towards a person, because if they're the best person for the job, they're the best person. Just my opinion.
I agree.
Well, mine is that I think every job should be competitive. Everybody should get a chance to work for this city because we all pay taxes here. So, of course, your relatives are going to be the best. My kids are the best for me, too. But I'm just saying it should be competitive. And when you hire relatives, I think it gives you a sense of corruption. And we've seen a lot of it. Look at Chicago, everywhere else. Look at all over.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
It's all over.
Yep. Well, and so that's what I struggle with is the difference between like what it looks like and what's the best thing for the community. The other person that we had doing the marketing for the township, we were paying $75 an hour for a product, and now we're getting a much more in-depth community product, and it's $35 an hour. And so, and I'm saying over and over again, I would have no problem replacing her if we get somebody else in the community that loves to do marketing and is engaged in the community and wanted to fill that position.
We have a technology school here.
We do, but it's high school kids. Like Larry said, we need somebody that's got experience and knows what they're doing and knows the community, not so.
Under state statute, if I read it correctly, as a supervisor, you have the ability to complete, contract for services. So there's no restriction on that point. I think from a government transparency part, and from just from a watchdog part, I think it would be appropriate to put in a process of just, you have the authority to make that decision, especially for contract work. But it would probably be a good idea that before making the move, bring it before the board and ask for, basically, to have the decision ratified in advance.
So how does that work, though, when you have board members that believe that under no conditions should you hire somebody that's a family member?
Well, as far as the nepotism policy for hiring, that's a decision, internal. That's also a decision that should probably be ratified by the board, as Trustee McDowell has brought forward, that there should be, if there's going to be an exception in the future, it should be ratified by the council or by the board. trying not to mix up city council with the
Right.
township trustees. But, you know, in the handy handbook, the, township trustees operators manual, if you look at, I think it's page 175, under nepotism, basically it's a one paragraph thing, but it basically says, don't do it. Not because it's banned, but because it looks bad.
Right.
And it gives a wrong perception to the public.
Yeah.
So if the situation arises where, in the future, I'm saying going forward especially, that where somebody who is related under this policy, or even under a contract situation, probably it would be a good idea just to touch base and get it ratified by the board first. So that might be something that we might structure into this.
That's fine with me.
I like that idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So,
So we have a motion and a second for the
well,
votes.
okay, so we can vote that down and then we can do this. So just let me capture the thoughts though. So just to be able to add in the event that a relative is deemed most appropriate, that decision will be ratified by the township board.
Are you trying to write it right now?
I just want to capture what
Yeah.
we're thinking, so I don't have to
Right.
start over again.
Yeah, that's a general.
Yeah, I think what we should do, my suggestion would be either we table this and bring it back for further discussion at a future meeting, because I don't think we're at a critical point where we have to do this
Either that,
tonight.
we either have to vote it down or amend the motion.
Yeah, correct.
So I would think we just move forward and vote it down and have it resubmitted as a new policy. And,
Okay.
And take into account at that point the higher.
Do we have a motion and a second on this
Okay,
already?
and just for clarification though, am I going to spend more HR money with the HR person and the attorney?
No, I think it's just a few nits
Okay,
on
good.
what's written here.
Okay, and that's why I'm wondering why we can't just amend it and vote on it.
I would rather have some time to, let's wordsmith it a bit before we do that.
Okay.
And it would make more sense to take a little time and reflect on it and make sure everybody.
It's not critical, because we're
No.
not.
Yeah, this is not
I'm just somebody that
critical.
likes to get
Yeah,
things
but I think there's enough.
focusing on
percentage
something
raised
new,
there that
so,
we don't
yeah.
want to do
All
it
right,
on the fly.
okay, all right, that sounds good. Okay, so clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Frierson?
Nay.
Trustee Holmes?
Nay?
Trustee Fisher?
Nay.
Trustee McDowell?
No.
Chairman Neal?
No. Okay.
Okay, so we'll bring this back again in the future.
Okay. So I will draft the recommended addition, and then if any of you guys want to add any more information to that moving forward. Okay, item 9, consider removing short-term disability language from employee handbook. So it was brought up to me on page 35 in our employee handbook that each year we gift our employees 2 days to bank into their short-term disability. That was put in place years and years ago before our, so it used to be that we had IMRF, and it's a 30-day wait before you get paid. And so at the time, we had put this in there for 2 days, but now because we have a short-term disability policy with our medical insurance, that makes it an 8-day window. Our employees get 1 personal day a week or a month, and then they get 1 personal day a week. No, oh my God, come work for me. 1 personal day a month, and then vacation time. That I really feel like it's their responsibility they can bank those 8 days to save that up. That they really have good benefits already, and this is just a little bit too much. So moving forward, if the employee would be responsible at the end of the year with any personal time that they have saved up or left over that they actually have to bank it for that 8 days if they want to be able to do that. And then anything after the 8 days, or they can, bank up to 30 if they'd like. Because I think with the medical insurance, they get paid 60%. Or they can bank up to 30 days, but it has to be their own time that they're banking, that they're not going to do that. So, makes sense. So it was definitely an oversight. When we went through the last time, or I would have pulled it out then. So, and so the change would just be to pull out that paragraph, and then employees must fund their minimum STD bank, their minimum 8 days of short-term disability bank by converting any accrued but unused personal time to the bank at the end of the year. And so change that. And I will wait to make this change until we approve the nepotism policy so that we can put both into the employee manual. So is there a motion?
Move to approve the change.
Second. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Frierson.
Aye.
Trustee Holmes.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee McDowell.
Aye.
Chairman Neal.
Aye. Item 10. I don't like discussing this, but it's impending because Larry keeps rubbing it in our face. Just reminding us that 2020 is the year that he gets to retire. So I reached out to Brian Smith, the executive director of Township Officials of Illinois, and I put it in each of your boxes, but I asked him, I said, our assessor shared that he will be retiring in 2020. Who can I talk to find out what the process is for appointing a new assessor for the duration of his term to make sure the transition is as smooth as possible? And he said, the process for appointing a new assessor is fairly easy. Once the assessor resigns, the Township Board has 60 days to fill the vacancy by appointing a qualified person to fill the position until the Township election. The person appointed must have the required educational qualifications before they can be appointed. You should contact either the Illinois Property Assessment Institute in Bloomington or the local government division of the Illinois Department of Revenue in Springfield to get the particulars given the size of your township. Outside of the educational qualifications, the person appointed must be at least a one-year resident of the township and a registered voter, and the rest is party affiliation stuff. So, talked a little bit to Larry, and yeah, Larry, you want to share?
Well, my plans are September 23rd is my last day, and that's it. That's been 38 years, and it's time to do something different.
Wow, 38 years.
38 years. Oh, it'll be over 38 years. It'll be 38 and a half years. So it's time to move away, move down the line. We have a place in Wisconsin, and we have a cabin in Wisconsin, and we are looking to buy a place in Florida.
Wow.
So
Congratulations.
thank you.
Absolutely.
It's been great, and it's been great working with all you guys, and my staff and I, we've tried our hardest to get our assessments correct, and there's been a lot of tough properties in this township. The hospital was a really tough property, and the power plant has hurt us a lot. But overall, it's been a pretty good experience, and I thank everybody.
So anybody in your office potentially can fill your big shoes?
No.
So my question for Larry, and I didn't ask, is that do we have to wait until he resigns to post it and do the interview? Because I would love to have Larry involved.
And I have no problem with that. Say in July or August, if you guys appoint somebody, I'd be more happy to stick around. Well, obviously, I have to stick around to September 23rd. I'd be happy to show them the ropes, and it's just going to be a learning curve here. And we work very closely with the Chief County Assessment Office, and there's a lot of smart people up there that are willing to help. And the good thing about the assessment field is there's over 100 people that are users, and reach out to people. It's the best thing. There's a lot of really smart assessors out there, and you just have to go out and ask questions. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.
No, I would not say that. You definitely have a brain for this stuff.
The one other question was, so were you elected on a party ticket? I don't recall.
That's what I was going to ask.
We're non-denominational.
We're independent.
And the educational requirements for this are what?
They're pretty stringent. Can you find that out for us specifically, what the person would need
What I
to
saw.
be appointed?
You have to be certified by the state, and it's, now I don't know how many classes. In the old days, it was 4 classes, and then you had to take a master's class that was a week long. Now I think there's classes in Chicago where you can get the whole shot done in 2 weeks, and just as long as you pass the test, you're good. Also, if you're a real estate appraiser, that gives you the qualifications. I think a broker also is able to do it.
Huh.
So there are other educations that you can use towards your CIAO, but you do have to be certified by the state.
Which is all the more reason that maybe we want to be sharing the information that you're going to be retiring in this position will be.
It's official. As far as I'm
Right.
concerned, September 23rd is my last day.
And when is the next township election?
April of 2021.
2021.
And the funny thing about the assessor, the election is, when's the election? In
April of 2021.
But they don't take office.
They don't take
January.
office until this, January 1st, not like the supervisor takes the position right away.
Very weird.
Well, it's because we're stuck right in the tax cycle.
Right.
It would be fair for a new assessor to come in and have to go
In the
through
middle
the
of a
tax
mess.
cycle right away.
Right. Yeah, and so I thought, and I talked to Larry a little bit about it today, was if we could put it out there and we actually had somebody that, we went through the process and, say in August, we knew who that appointment would be, that they could be hired on and work with Larry for a couple of months so that they could,
That's not a problem.
figure that out, so.
And it's probably a good time to do that, July or August, because my report, I'm going to turn my books in probably by the middle of April. So then you have 30 days. So May, the hearings will start. So we'll be just about finished up with the hearings. There'll probably be some left, which would be a good opportunity for me to take that person to a few of the hearings. And that's the most difficult thing about this job is going to the hearings, and it's basically every 15 minutes you're arguing with somebody. Somebody said, "Boy, you like to argue." Well, I've had a lot of practice because that's what I've done for 38 years is argue about assessments. But that's the hardest thing. It's a very draining day, and you just have to take it easy and make sure that your evidence is good.
So just as a next step, maybe in the next month, we can find out what the actual classes are, the qualifications,
Sure. Yeah.
and put together a posting, and we can use that actually for how positions are posted, and come up with a policy that we use for posting all positions, and start with that.
And there you are.
So if you guys have any ideas, suggestions, for what we can do with that, that would be awesome. Excellent. Cool. All right.
And really, I have another comment that we were talking about today about doing some hearings. Next year, it would be nice if you guys would come into the hearings for a morning or an afternoon and really see what goes on up there, and also spend a few hours watching my staff pull the comps and do the work and review appraisals and things like that. I'm the one that reviews all the appraisals, and it takes me up to a half a day to read an appraisal and go through an appraisal, and that's just a residential appraisal. When you're looking at commercial appraisals, I mean, they're this big, and you have to go through and analyze all that stuff. It'd be a good information for you guys to check it out sometimes if you had afternoons off to come and do that.
I'd be willing to do that.
Excellent.
Especially when I retire, the hospital will be filing an appeal, so that'll be a really big appeal.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Excellent. Well, the next item is assessor's report. What else you got?
Yeah, let's see. That's about it. We're wrapping up our appeals at the county. We've only got a couple more days of hearings. And I think actually most of those are letter hearings. Like I said, I'm going to turn my books in by the middle of April. I would expect that next year that we're going to see a lot of appeals because I think that the township equalization factor might be a little higher than normal. That's really about it.
Okay. Any questions for the assessor? Okay. Thank you very much, Larry. Moving on to item 12, supervisors report announcements. Each month, we posted on the website, we have a Zion Township monthly report that actually lists out the activity in the township, from walk-ins to phone calls to the number of people we do referrals. We are currently up to 18 general assistance clients. General assistance is to help individuals that have no income and no means of an income. I truly believe that number is up. The amount that they used to get as in vouchers was $250 a month to help them. We've working with DHS, we've upped that to $350, which helps an individual at least to keep a roof over his head. You can rent a room for that amount of money, so I think that's helped, and we've been really successful with helping quite a few individuals to get back into the workforce with that. So very proud of the work that we're doing, although I say that as I also announced that Adriana Ortiz, our case manager, had her baby boy, and so she is out until March 16th, which is a drain on the staff, but we have our part-time case manager, Amy Onan, who trained well and is doing really, really well. I'm proud of the work that she's doing with that. The next ZB Quarterly will be coming out the first week of March. That's all together. They're doing the tweaks on that. LAHEAP, just as a reminder for anybody, if you're an individual in a home and you make less than $1,561 a month, you qualify for LAHEAP. We do it every single Tuesday from 1 until 3 o'clock. We're waiting to find out how much we brought in 2019. In 2018, we brought in over $158,000 for residents doing those applications. So encourage anybody and everybody to come in for that program. February 1st kicks off the Job Center Lake County Summer Work Program applications. Anybody ages 14 to 21, I believe, can apply for positions through the county. Any of the kids, 35 kids that apply that are 14 and 15, they place them at Zion Township. And so any resident in Zion, if you have a 14 or 15-year-old child that wants to work for the summer work program, have them go to the Job Center Lake County website. Wait, let me make sure what that is. LakeCountyJobCenter.com website and fill out the application. It's actually a lottery system, so then they do a lottery and they choose the kids. Same topic, working with our kids. The Junior Zion Benton Leadership Academy will be running the month of February. Anybody that is still interested in it, the information is at info@zbla.no.
ZBLA.info.
Thank you, zbla.info. So there might be a couple of positions left if anybody is interested, and that's 8th grade through senior in high school. So. Let's see. We are kicking off Zinnias for Zion. We did find out that there is a town called Orion, Illinois, that has 1,800 people that is also trying to become the Zinnia capital of the U.S. So we've got some competition. So we're up in the ante this year. Anton's Greenhouse is working with us again to provide flats of flowers for all the taxing bodies, churches. We've got about 30 organizations that are purchasing flats again. If anybody would like to purchase a flat of flowers from Anton's, stop by Zion Township. We have those forms. We have the different sites across the community adopted. Again, the welcome signs. Actually, the vice president of the Garden Club is adopting City Hall this year. So I'm sure it will look wonderful. Looking forward to that. Elf Network, huge success. Thank you. Different hat, Pastor Mike McDowell, for all of your work with the Elf Network. We served 210 individuals, collectively 50 families, and what Christ Community Church does is nothing short of a miracle. I mean, it really is just the warmest event. I don't know if you want to share anything about.
I think I did last time, actually. But
that was before the event.
Yeah, it's a great event. It's a way that we can connect people that maybe they don't normally rub shoulders with each other. They don't know each other. And so we sit across the table, get to know some holiday traditions from different families, and start up a conversation. And I think that's the best part about it.
Yeah, a great meal.
There's gifts, there's lots of food, but just developing those relationships is most important.
It's very cool. Yeah, a lot of really positive feedback from the participants for this year. And just to shout out Santa's Helpers, Zion District 6, ZD Kiwanis, and Comfort for the Cause. We're huge partners in that. Zion Together, Love Thy Neighborhood. We are moving forward with that. If you have not been to the ZionTogether.com website, check it out. We shout out to North Shore Gas. They donated $1,000 to pay for the street signs. Working with Vic and Ray from the city, the signs were going to be about $50 a piece. And that's way outside of their budget, and so they connected me with a company that would do them for a little bit less than that, and then North Shore Gas they actually donated $2,000, $1,000 for Zion Together and $1,000 for the Ring program. So very grateful for that. And then working on the vision for 2020, there's a few things that we're working on. We had 37 responses so far from the survey for what people want to focus on in 2020. One of those things was parenting, being a better parent. So we are working with Family Resource Center and Grace Missionary Church to put on parenting classes from February 25th through April 28th. They will be in English and in Spanish. Childcare will be provided. We're actually copying off a model that Christ Community Church has on Monday nights with Affirming Potential through Love Inc., which also kicks off next Monday. So if anyone is interested in just upping their life, Affirming Potential through Love Inc. provides an incredible program at CCC on Monday nights. And they provide dinner and paper goods for you to be able to get through the week, and childcare. So it's just, if there's anybody that's floundering and they're not sure what they want to do, that program is incredible. Call the Township and we can get you more information. We're also, How to Start a Business is going to be presented on Thursday, April 23rd at the Township from 7 until 8 p.m. For those individuals that are looking to want to start a business. And then we also, working with Rebecca Langley, she is putting together a class on Spanish as a second language. It will be an intensive every Monday and Wednesday night from 6:30 until 8:30 for 8 weeks. And there is room for 12 people. She is actually hiring some of her students from the ESL program to come in and help teach. The cost is $225 per person for the month program. We're really targeting the frontline workers of the different agencies that don't speak any Spanish to be able to at least communicate with our residents that do not, struggle with English. So just to share that, and then let me just see if there's anything else. We'll be working on the budget this month, putting together a draft for you guys moving forward. And then two more things. The NACASA, they changed their hours. They used to be at the Township on Mondays and Tuesdays. They are now at the Township on Mondays and Thursdays. But we still have them. They're fully invested in staying in the community. And then the last thing, just got back an hour, 2 hours ago with Sonalita here for the Census 2020. There are a ton of openings, and they are paying $29.50 an hour. They're looking for people to go, and you work your own hours if you just want to work a couple of evenings, weekends, to actually go out and knock on doors and get people to respond to the census. Those positions will, it sounded like, am I right, like mid-March or beginning of April through like the end of July. They would be hiring for those positions. So they strongly encourage anybody, and even if you're not a U.S. citizen, if you speak a language that they need people to, they will work with you to be able to hire you to be able to help. So that was intriguing. So that's all I got. Is there anything else to come before the board? Nothing? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion second. Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Frierson.
Aye.
Trustee Holmes.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee McDowell.
Aye.
Chairman Neal.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.